Teddy Blueger hasn't been performing this season. We've kind of alluded to it a couple times, and I think us and a lot of other people in Penguins kingdom, in the Penguins fan base, and the Penguins, media conglomerate usually don't talk bad about Teddy Blueger because of how good he's been for the Pittsburgh Penguins over his career. But if you can trade Teddy Blueger to open up the cap space, would you?
In a heartbeat.
Hmm.
In a heartbeat. Not having it with Blueger this season. I'm kind of over the he can kill penalties thing. He's a defensive forward type of thing. That's great. Those are a dime a dozen these days.
Hmm.
All right. We don't need, it's nice to have. But this team can win without having the number 1, 2, or 3 penalty kill. We're at 9th right now, I think, unless it's changed. Last I checked, it was 9th. We've shown that we can win without that penalty kill. We do need to obviously play better defense, not take as many penalties, and score a few more goals here and there. But teams can win without having the top ranked penalty kill in the league. And if you send them out, you have other defensive forwards that you. When Jonathan Gruden got here, that was one of the first things Mike Sullivan said, that he can kill penalties. You're going to see him on the penalty kill. We saw him for 40 seconds. Haven't seen him on the penalty kill since.
Mm-hmm.
So hold to that maybe. Give him that chance again. Start from there. You have the guys that you believe can kill penalties. Losing Blueger, well, it would hurt the penalty kill and things. You open up cap space and maybe you find someone else who could do the same thing, because he's not providing you any offense anymore. He's not. And it's not that he ever did. But we wanted him to provide a little more. We thought maybe he could step his offensive game up this season. And yet this is probably his worst offensive year of his career. And that's saying something.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that, hey, maybe they can go find somebody that can take his role for less money. They have that guy on the roster. We just talked about him, Ryan Poehling.
Yep.
Is Poehling that much of a drop-off at this point to what Teddy Blueger is? Because when Teddy Blueger signed that contract, that $2.2 million per year contract, we were all saying, hey, that's a good deal because you're signing one of the best fourth-line centers in hockey. He's not that right now. He hasn't been that all season. And Ryan Poehling is right there and overperforming, or not overperforming, but outperforming Teddy Blueger in some aspects of the game. I mean, you look at the counting stats. Yes, Ryan Poehling is better than Blueger. Blueger has 1 goal. Poehling has 4. Also, 3 more points on the season. Poehling has 10. Faceoffs, Blueger is better at the faceoff dot. But as we know, listen, faceoffs are important, but we have a faceoff guy in Jeff Carter if you need to, in bigger situations, especially on the penalty kill. If you need a penalty killing faceoff extraordinaire, that's probably going to be Jeff Carter, because we've already mentioned he's not going anywhere. And then you look at the underlying numbers. Poehling has a 4% boost in shot attempts, a 30% boost in actual goals for in the game, and then a 9% boost in expected goals for. Ryan Poehling, underlying wise, is completely blowing Teddy Blueger out of the water. Now, Blueger has been bumped up to the third line center role, which is going up against a little bit better talent, but at the same time, he's playing with better talent. He's just not getting the job done. And at $2.2 million with upcoming unrestricted free agency, I think it's almost a guarantee, unless Blueger takes a massive pay cut, that he's not going to be re-signed in the offseason. And Poehling, who was a restricted free agent at the end of the year, is only making $750K. So if you can make the move, not that you're going to get anything in return. That's not a move that nets you somebody for the third line. That is the beginning of a couple of moves that start to address the third line, because that is one of the moves you can make to open up some cap space.
Yeah, we can't get attached to players either. Teddy Blueger is one of those players that fans got attached to over the years because of his nice defensive mindset. That's great. Guess what? That time is come and gone. It's why we canned Zach Aston-Reese last year. Dude couldn't score goals. We get it. He can play defense. That's great. We need more than that, especially from a depth winger perspective, which, sure, Blueger's a center, but we can cover that pretty easily. He has to play offense because no one else in this bottom 6 is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we managed to nab a pretty good return for Zach Aston-Reese, but it's for Blueger, maybe you ship him off for nothing but cap space, and that's still a net positive, in my opinion. So it's the hard part of the business. We get it, but guess what? It is still a business, and Teddy Blueger is not what's best for business right now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If Bluger wasn't as much of a fan favorite as he is, this conversation would have happened 2 months ago. It would have happened because when he initially returned, we said, "Okay, this is gonna help the penalty kill." And what happened? The penalty kill went from 28th in the National Hockey League to 1st. And we said, "Wow, that turnaround started when Bluger came back." But also, Tristan Jarry turned things around and became an absolute ball of fire in December. Jeff Petrie kind of settled in and became a really good penalty killer and a really good defenseman for this team. Kasperi Kapanen's experiment on the penalty kill ended, and that's also what turned it around. Brian Rust started playing more time on the penalty kill. So, while yes, Teddy Blueger is a phenomenal penalty killer and usually pretty good defensively for the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's not all him that turned the penalty kill around. And also, like you mentioned, we saw the Penguins get rid of one of their best penalty killers last season. And yes, the unit took a decline overall, but at the end of the day, it was a net positive by getting Ricard Raquel. They're not going to get that same thing for Teddy Bluger. I don't think they can even put him in a package that would get them somebody like that. But the cap space is golden this year. We know it. We've seen it across the league. And $2.2 million in cap space, if you're able to free that up, could go a long way in fixing the Pittsburgh Penguins' third line.